Today, we're going to take a first look at a new AncestryDNA beta tool that has to do with ThruLines. This is a ThruLines for Henry Bennett, my dad's great-great-grandfather, and he has a predicted 116 matches who might be related to him who are also descendants of Henry Bennett. As I scroll through these 116 matches, can you tell which ones I've already added to my tree? Neither can I. I have to click on each match and look at it to see if I've already added them to my tree. That's a lot of wasted time and endless clicking that could be better spent building my tree. Well, Ancestry just released a new beta feature that helps us get around this problem. You'll be able to instantly see which matches are already in your tree and which matches you still need to work with. This can save you hours of time of endless clicking and help you spend more time doing what you love most, building your tree. So let's start with this new beta tool and how you find it and how to see if you even have it. This again is Henry Bennett, my 3 times great-grandfather, but we're working with my dad's DNA matches, so it's his second great-grandfather. And I need to turn to the tree view. So I'm going to click on this. And then here's Henry and his wife Ellender Bookout and their children and their spouses. So I just click on Henry when I'm in either this horizontal or vertical tree view. And now I can see where this new beta tool is. It's just called Add DNA Matches Descending from Henry. So there's not really a title. I'm going to click on that. And this pop-up on the right opens up. Now you can see these 2 tabs. But what if you don't see this? Well, one of 2 things. Either you don't have the beta tool yet, or you need to turn it on. So let's look at how to turn it on. You need to go to these 3 dots on your sidebar and click on Tree Viewing Options. Now note that right here it says Show DNA Relationships Using. I have a drop down of everybody's test who I have connected to this tree because I have myself, my siblings, my uncles, my mom, my dad. And so you can change the view of whose DNA ThruLines or DNA matches you want to work with. So I have my dad's. But it's this button right here that you need to toggle off and on, the ThruLines icons. If I click this off, and now I come back to Henry, I don't get that beta tool. But if I click it on, I do get the beta tool. So that's where to check. Now, to even see this beta tool, you need to have taken a DNA test, of course, and you need to have that DNA connected to the tree you're working on. You need to have a tree that's either public or private but searchable. So those are a few other things you can check. So let's work through an example of somebody that it says I could add to my tree. And remember, ThruLines are always just possibilities. These are people who they share DNA with the test taker, so they share DNA with my dad, and Ancestry thinks they found a connection for both my dad and this match to Henry. But we need to verify. We need to verify every generation connection. But this is where we start. So let's look at a real example. I'm going to choose one under Nancy, this person here that I'm calling SW. So let's click on them and click View Connection. Now it shows you the path of how it believes SW is descended from Henry Bennett. And you can see all these white boxes with basically solid lines are people I already have on my tree. But SW is in a green box with a dashed line. Those dashed lines are key for ThruLines saying this person is not on your tree. And it also has this review note saying you need to review this still. And so we can click on View Match. Now here's SW. They have a private tree. Over on the left, we have the common ancestor hint, which is the same as ThruLines. You would see 2 views. You would see how my dad descends from Henry and how they think SW does. But let's look at shared matches. Now, note that I have Shared Matches Pro. I love this tool and it's really worth trying out. And I'm going to leave a link to a video I've done about this Pro tool. But one of the big things it does is it gives you this 3rd column. Instead of just seeing how my dad is related to these shared matches, it also shows how SW is related to these matches. And that's huge. And to help me figure out who SW is, I'm going to sort these matches by SW's relationship to the match instead of how my dad's related to them. And we get some great hints. Here I have John, who is a brother. This little green dot means I've never worked with John, so I don't have him on my tree either. So here we have T, and I have them already on my tree. And I can tell again because of how I write that note. When I say the MRCAs, the common ancestors, the his name and her name and through which child and who they married, if it's a female, and the cousin, that tells me I've already got this person on my tree. And they also had this ThruLines or common ancestor hint. So now I know, since I know who T is and how T is on my tree, I would just have to look them up. Now I know how John and SW are related, and I can see if it fits what I've already just done. So I'm going to go ahead and add SW and John to my tree, and then go back and show you that it will now change that beta tool. It will no longer be on the people who you might want to add to your tree. It'll be on the people who are already on my tree. Now I want to show you something very interesting. Again, this is a beta tool and I'm still learning it also, but I'd love to hear what you're seeing and your thoughts about this. Now we know that SW, John, and TN are all siblings. So 2 brothers and SW is a sister. And if we go back to this beta tool view of the ThruLines, we can see that their parent appears to be this Nancy. When I went to my tree and looked for Nancy, I already had 2 children. I had TN. I also already had SW in my tree. So it said I didn't have them in my tree, but I actually did. But ThruLines or Ancestry really has to be able to, whenever they're looking at 2 people, they need to be able to figure out that they're indeed the same person. And it is not picking up that this is the same person as whoever SW's real name is. So this is a little bit of a quirk of what's happening. Now, a way to fix that would be to come back here and to actually say, I want to connect SW to my tree. So I'm going to connect. I'm going to type in that name that I'm using and click on her in my tree. And now I get this green icon showing that they're in my tree, and I can view in the tree and it would pull me to her. But now let's go back to these beta tools, and I'm going to shut that once to see what happens. Open this back up, go to Nancy, and I can already see it changed from 4 to 3, but SW is no longer there. So that fixed it. And one other thing. So as I was adding this to my tree and fixing everything, I realized that John was not showing up as a ThruLine hint. And so let's take a look at John, a better look at him. So I'm going to click on his tree and see what he has. When I click on him, I see he only has a single private person. So he doesn't have a ThruLine hint, and that's why he wasn't showing up. But because of the Pro Tools, let's click on this Shared Matches Pro Tool again and sort. I clicked on sort and sorted by John's relationship to these matches, and I can see SW is his sister, TN is his brother, and now I know exactly who John is, even though he doesn't have a tree. And I got this through ThruLines and working with the Shared Matches Pro Tool, even though John didn't have a tree. So I'm going to add John to the tree, and then I'm going to go ahead and connect him to my tree. And of course, I went ahead and added the note here that he's a descendant of Henry Bennett and Ellender Bookout through their daughter Nancy, who married Williams, and he's a 4th cousin. And I also have that same note on SW and TN. And so that's how working with this beta tool helped me focus on matches that weren't in my tree, or at least fix that error in this case because SW was actually already on my tree. But as I clean this up, it's going to be much more efficient working with my ThruLines hints. I also want to look at these shared matches of these 3 siblings and make sure that they are also going back to this Bennett and Bookout. So to do that, I'm going to filter by common ancestor hints because I think this is the quickest way usually to figure this out. And it's using ThruLines because common ancestor hints and ThruLines are basically the same. So all of these have common ancestor hints. So as we scroll through these matches, I'm looking for other people that have Bennett or Bookout. So here's Jordan. Jordan is a descendant of, well, I have these question marks, meaning there is a common ancestor hint clue here, but I haven't done the work. But if it's correct, John Bookout and Sarah Vaughn are Ellender Bookout's parents. So that would make sense in this scenario. And here we have G, that's Henry and Ellender. We have Wendy. That one I have never looked at. You can tell by the dot, and you can tell by the fact I don't have a note. I think this looks great for now. I've got a lot more work to do, and Henry is a brick wall of ours, so I will be sharing more as I explore Henry's DNA matches and try to figure out who his parents are. I'm going to leave the link to 2 videos that I've created about ThruLines. One is just a beginner basic guideline, and the other is where I work through quite a few case studies. So if you want to check those out, and I will see you next time. And thanks for watching.